The iPhone 14 was definitely a phone that Apple played safe with, considering its previous generation, even being referred to as a repackaged product from various YouTubers. Because when the base model itself is compared to the Pro or the Pro Max, those are the big brothers that actually have the upgrades. I will say, after using this phone for the time that I've had it, I've honestly had a lot of fun with it. And now that I'm actually selling it to one of my friends, it leads me to the question on if this is worth it in 2025. Now, on the surface level, if you compare it up to the 13 or even to the 15, you can't really spot a difference unless you know the different colors in each lineup. You can also tell by the feel because it does have that boxy feeling like the 13, but also have the rounded off edges just a little bit off to the 15. So in reality, it's kind of like that little in-between type of feel. And if you were upgrading from the 13, however, you would see that there was only like two new things. The camera improvements is honestly just by default, and this is still using the A15 Bionic chip from the 13, it just has an extra core inside. Two new things that was actually new to this phone was the crash detection and then also the SOS satellite messaging. So there wasn't any big changes that if you was wanting to go from a 13, because most people just thought it was just a slightly faster phone, which essentially it really was. So in my opinion, this phone wasn't a worthy option to upgrade to if you had a 13 leading up to September of 2022. But does that narrative still apply in this year of 2025? Back to how the phone feels, Apple has always made their phones feel a lot premium. Even if you had the base model, the Pro, or even the Pro Max, all of them kind of unify in this premium looking type of phone. The iPhone 14 comes in a 6.1 OLED display with a peak brightness of 1200 nits, and it also has HDR support. Like I said, this does still have the A15 Bionic chip with the new core just to make it a slight bit faster, but it also has a 12 megapixel main camera and also a wide angle camera. This also supports MagSafe and Face ID to give the user a lot more privacy with their information and a lot more secure ways to charge their phone. This phone still has a 60Hz display, which it is kind of common for the base model iPhones to have the 60Hz display. I think from like the 12 all the way up to the 16, they all have 60Hz displays. But if you really don't care for it, or if you're used to that type of refresh rate, then I don't see why not. And if we're comparing it to the 16E, not only it has that 60Hz display, but it actually uses the exact same display from the 14. So no matter what, you're still gonna have that modern look on your display. Moving on to the camera side, now they did get slightly better from the 13 with a 12 megapixel main and a 12 megapixel wide like we discussed earlier. And if you ask me for my opinion, I think they still hold up for today. And that's the one thing that I can actually compliment Apple on is the consistency of their hardware and their software. Because if you still have an 11 today, they still have that 4K video output with 60 frames per second, and it still consistently gets iOS updates. Now, I think the 11 is going to be out of the life cycle of the iOS updates, so I'm guessing everybody is trying to upgrade from that. But for this 14, you're still going to be seeing a lot of updates, maybe into the next 2 years of the life cycle. And if you don't believe me on how good this camera really is, you're actually watching it in action at 4K 60 FPS. So it really doesn't matter if the new ones have a upgraded camera system, because smartphone cameras have honestly been evolving and it has been at a consistent rate for a long period of time, to where, like I said, with the 11, it doesn't matter, you'll still have that 4K output. Even with my mom, she still has an S10 and it still takes incredible photos if you put the right settings onto it. So if you want a solid camera setup that's not going to age while the phone is aging, then I think this phone is for you. The battery life on this is still pretty reasonable, and if you get the Plus model, it's even going to be more reasonable because it's going to give you that guaranteed day usage off of a single charge, but only if you're considering not playing games on it. But if you are considering playing games on it, it does get a little hot to the touch, but not enough to burn your fingers. Now, like I said before, this is still carrying that respectful chip from the 13, just with a slightly different core set. And it also has 6 gigabytes of RAM, so if you're throwing hard stuff at it, this is still going to take the challenge with ease. So this phone isn't going to let you down by any means, but if you're looking for more premium features like Apple Intelligence, the action button, the USB Type-C, then I would honestly say just simply get the 16E, because not only is the same price point as it was back in 2022, you get those premium features that we talked about. So, should you get the iPhone 14? Honestly, yeah, if you're getting a good deal on it. Now, I am selling this phone for about $400 because that's how I think it is worth. If you look on Amazon, they still kind of price it up maybe $160 more. And if you look on Apple's refurbished site, it's even more than that. So if you have a little bit of extra cash to just spend on that, I would honestly just go with the 16E. You're going to be guaranteed with software update for like the next 5 years. But if you're definitely going on a budget this year, I would absolutely recommend this 14, especially if you can find a really good deal on it. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about the iPhone 14 in 2025? Do you think it should get a pass? Or do you think we should just leave it in the back? Or if you have a 14, tell us about your experience and if it still holds up to what I am saying. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts in the comments section below. If you do like this video, make sure to hit the like button. This shows me that you guys actually enjoy this type of content. And if you guys are new here, please consider subscribing. We're on pace to hitting 200 subs, and I'd like you guys to be a part of the journey with me. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Hey, buddy. Hey, little guy. This is Jasper. She wanted to say hi. This is Jasper.